Welcome to Royal Daily Report, your trusted source for the questions no one else will ask. Megyn Kelly didn't mince words. She looked straight at the camera and said what so many had only whispered: is Meghan Markle really 44? Or is she over 50? That one line was enough to set fire to a story that has quietly been simmering for years. Because this isn't just idle chatter or a random rumor. This is about documents, photos, timelines, and official records that don't quite add up. And when you start putting the pieces together, the puzzle that's supposed to tell Meghan's life story begins to look like it's hiding something. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Or maybe, as Megyn Kelly suggests, Meghan Markle isn't the age she says she is at all. So let's dig in. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report now. Don't miss the evidence. It begins with a single image. Northwestern University, early 2000s, a group photo from the salsa club. At first glance, it's exactly what you'd expect. Smiling students, arms around each other, frozen in time, and there standing in the row is Meghan Markle. But here's where it gets strange. Fast forward to today, 2025, and pull up the names of the people in that photo. Many of them now list their birthdays in the early 1970s. That makes them 52, 53, even 54 years old. Yet Meghan's official biography says she's 44. The math doesn't sit right. For this photo to make sense, Meghan would have had to be a freshman surrounded almost entirely by classmates who were 8 to 10 years older than her. Could that happen? Sure, in rare cases, but nearly every name around her in that photo connects back to people a decade older. That's not coincidence anymore. That's a pattern. And it's not just the salsa club. Alumni listings show Meghan tied to the same names again and again across campus activities. Stay tuned to Royal Daily Report. We reveal the timeline problems. When those classmates gather at reunions today, the contrast is striking. Meghan's supposed timeline places her nearly a generation behind them. Yet the evidence puts her right there, smiling among them. Now we step into the heart of the story. Meghan Markle's official birth date, August 4th, 1981. That number has been stamped across biographies, magazine profiles, and even the official royal archives. It's been repeated so often, it feels untouchable. But for years, another set of dates has quietly circulated: alleged classmates, old event programs, and even interviews with people who claim to have known her before fame point to earlier years. 1977. Some even whisper 1975. If Meghan was born in 1977, she wouldn't be 44 today. She'd be 48. If it was 1976, she'd be 49. And if the most extreme claim is true, 1975, she'd be turning 50 right now. That's not just a little discrepancy. That's a 4 to 6 year gap. Missing time in a carefully polished biography. A gap where entire seasons of her life disappear from the official record. And when there's a gap, there's usually a reason. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for the document changes. To understand how Meghan's timeline might have been shaped, you have to look at the paper trail. And nothing is more revealing than what happened in May 2019. Right after the birth of Archie Harrison Mountbatten. Like every royal child, Archie's birth certificate was filed in the United Kingdom. At first, it looked exactly as expected. Rachel Meghan, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, a straightforward record of his mother's name. But then, only a few weeks later, something strange happened. The document was amended. Meghan's first names, Rachel Meghan, were removed completely. What was left was a single line. Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. The palace claimed it was a simple bureaucratic adjustment, meant to create consistency with other royal documents. But insiders described it as baffling. Why would such a small change need to happen weeks after the fact? Why hadn't it been done for other royal mothers before her? The important part isn't about the name itself. It's about what this moment proved. Official documents, the kind most people believe, are final and unchangeable, can in fact be rewritten quietly without explanation. If a royal birth certificate can be altered days after the event, what other records in Meghan's life might have been adjusted long before the palace was even in the picture? Royal Daily Report bringing you the photo management strategy. When you go digging into Meghan Markle's early life, something else jumps out: the photos. Every public figure has old snapshots, yearbook scans, prom pictures, school portraits. They usually flow in a steady stream over time. But with Meghan, the stream feels different. It feels controlled. Take her 1999 senior headshot from Immaculate Heart High School. It's polished, perfect, like something for a magazine spread. Or the group shot of her in uniform, standing with classmates. These images do exist, but notice when they resurface, they don't pop up randomly the way most people's old photos do. They appear in carefully timed bursts, almost as if pulled out of a vault whenever her background comes under scrutiny. During the release of a royal biography, during a controversial interview, or most recently when whispers about her age returned. And it's not just the timing. The sources of these photos are telling too. Some are pulled directly from alumni archives. Others come from former classmates who for years said nothing until suddenly a story breaks and the image is everywhere. To the casual observer, it looks like nostalgia. But to those paying attention, it feels curated, as if certain pieces of the past are being placed on the table to support a specific version of events. Subscribe now to Royal Daily Report. We expose the lawsuit timing. If high school memories can be managed this carefully, it raises a larger question. How much of Meghan's early life is just what we've been allowed to see at the exact moments we're meant to see it? Fast forward to early 2025, Meghan's half-sister, Samantha Markle, revives her defamation lawsuit, a case that had been stalled and nearly forgotten. The filings themselves have nothing to do with Meghan's age. They focus on public statements, family disputes, and reputational damage. But the timing was impossible to ignore. Almost as soon as the hearing dates were announced, the age question flared up again in headlines. It wasn't subtle. Across gossip columns, entertainment outlets, even mainstream celebrity reporting, Meghan's real age was suddenly back in the spotlight. It's a pattern we've seen before. Each time a legal battle or controversy involving Meghan gains traction, the whispers about her age resurface alongside it. Some insiders believe this is deliberate, a way of using the heat of one controversy to reintroduce older, unresolved questions into the public eye. Others argue it's organic. When Meghan is in the news, all of her past controversies get dredged up. Either way, the effect is the same. The courtroom becomes the spark, and the narrative about her age starts burning again. One controversy doesn't exist alone. It drags the others with it until they all swirl together into a storm. Royal Daily Report, your window into how rumors become facts. Once a whisper is out in the world, it rarely stays small. In Meghan Markle's case, the way stories about her age spread is a lesson in how rumors can turn into something that feels like fact. It usually starts with a single spark, a graduation date that doesn't match. A photo from Northwestern, where classmates are clearly older. One outlet picks it up, often framing it as a source reveals or exclusive details. Within hours, the claim appears in multiple places, each version slightly different. A new headline here, an insider quote there, maybe an old photo slipped in to give it weight. And soon, the repetition gives it power. People stop asking whether it's true or not. They just know they've heard it before. The story, once just a rumor, becomes part of the permanent trail surrounding Meghan. It doesn't matter how many times it's denied. Once the paper trail exists, the contradiction lives on. So what happens if these alternative birth years are true? What if Meghan was born in 1977, 1976, or even 1975? It would mean her public timeline is hiding something minus 4 to 6 years of her life. That might not sound like much, but in a biography as polished as Meghan's, every missing year is a shadow. Where was she during that time? What jobs did she hold? What friendships, what events, what connections existed that never make it into the official record? Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for the Hollywood strategy. Those missing years aren't just about numbers on a page. They represent a gap in the story, a void. And when a life story is carefully managed, a void is never accidental. Whether it's career strategy, image management, or something more personal, those years vanish for a reason. Some would argue trimming a few years is nothing new. In Hollywood, shaving an age is strategy, not scandal. Casting directors look at age before talent. A younger actress gets roles her older peers may never see. It's a game as old as the industry itself. But here's the problem. Meghan didn't just stay in Hollywood. She crossed into royalty, where every detail, every date, every document is supposed to be carved into history. What might have been a private choice as an actress becomes a matter of public record as a duchess. So we're left with a choice. Is all of this just coincidence? A few odd classmates, some mismatched records, and nothing more? Or is it strategy? A carefully managed biography where every piece has been adjusted to fit the image we were meant to believe. When you put the pieces together, it's hard to ignore the weight of the pattern. Documents that can be rewritten, photos that surface only at the right moment, courtroom battles that seem to drag old rumors back into the spotlight. At some point, coincidence starts to look like calculation. Royal Daily Report, bringing you the managed narrative. And this is where the story lands, not just on a number, but on what the number represents. Because at the end of the day, this isn't only about whether Meghan Markle is 44 or 50. It's about how a life becomes a brand. How every detail from a high school photo to a royal birth certificate can be polished, managed, and redeployed to fit the story being told. Think back on what we've seen. The salsa club photo with classmates nearly a decade older. Alternative birth years that keep resurfacing. A royal document quietly rewritten weeks after Archie's birth. School photos that reappear only when the spotlight is brightest. A lawsuit that pulls the age question back into the headlines like clockwork. These aren't random events scattered across decades. They line up one after another like bricks in a wall. A wall built to hide something just out of sight. Maybe the official version is true. Maybe it isn't. But here's what we know for certain. The story has been shaped. Every time a piece of the past surfaces, it's at a moment that serves the narrative. Every gap, every edit, every contradiction invites curiosity. And that's the part Meghan Markle can never control. The more carefully her story is managed, the more the world wants to know what's missing. Because every story has a first draft. And sometimes the truth is hiding in the version we were never meant to read. This was Royal Daily Report, uncovering the age mystery that won't go away. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you never miss the evidence. Stay connected with Royal Daily Report, where managed stories get questioned.